All right, welcome back to your channel. Max Tornow here. We're a little bit outside the city today, a little working spot, do some leisure activities here as well. And in this video, I want to talk about why it is now the best time to start with your own online coaching business. And the way I'm going to structure it, first I'm going to talk a little bit about the market, and then I'll talk a little bit about public perception of online coaching businesses, and then I'll talk a little bit about mindset. So if you've ever thought about becoming your own boss, becoming free, being able to travel the world, work from wherever you want, whenever you want, but you've been hesitant, then I'm going to lay out to you right now how you can literally understand on a logical basis that now is actually the best way to get started. And if you have a little bit of, hesitance, right? You feel hesitant, you have a little bit of doubts if you're good enough and so on and so forth, then pay attention because this video is also for you. So let's get started.
Have you ever wondered whether there's more to life than a boring dead-end 9-to-5 job? Have you ever dreamed about breaking free, traveling the world, making good money, and just enjoying life? No more office dress code, no morning commute, no boss. This channel is for you, so here's to your freedom.
All right, and the first point is I want to talk a little bit about the market. So if you Google the online coaching market, you can actually see that over the last decade or so, the online coaching market has experienced a steady incline. It has gotten more and more popular. It has gotten bigger and bigger. Now, if you actually listen to some of the experts, they actually say that the online coaching market is being expected to continuously grow, sometimes even double each and every year, depending on what sort of niche market geographically speaking. That's a very interesting thing, because that means if you, for example, position yourself as an online coach, as an expert online, or even as an online service provider, you'll automatically experience all this growth already together with the market. If you then even say like, okay, you want to put in specifically extra work, you want to learn how to dominate a specific small niche market, you'll even get more growth in there. So it's very, very interesting.
All right, office for the day. Damn, what the f is this? Damn!
The other interesting part is if you look, historically speaking, at the first half of 2020, and right now by the time of recording it's July of 2020, the whole pandemic situation, quarantine, has actually amplified that growth even more. And that's a very interesting point, because that brings me to the second point, and that is the point of public perception. If you, and I'm going to give you a great example, you've heard me talking about this before, the general perception of getting a coach online, of getting a service online, is being more and more accepted. Why is that? Because more people are using it, right? I'm gonna give you that example now. So if you look at Tinder, the dating app, I think everybody is familiar nowadays with Tinder. And if you really think about it, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was very, very taboo to meet someone from the internet. Like, hey, I'm gonna go to my date now with the girl that I met in the chat room. Everybody was like, dude, like, careful that you don't wake up without your kidneys. It was a very, very weird thing. And then Tinder came along, and nowadays it is the most normal thing in the world. In fact, there's some statistics that even say that a significant amount of people in specific demographics are using online dating more than real life dating. So it has become completely and utterly socially accepted to meet someone from the internet and then even, date that person, or even, marry that person eventually. And something similar has happened, especially throughout the quarantine times in the US, in Europe, in all the major markets, that people have started to accept that feeling of like, hey, I'm going to get to know, a person that can help me, that can mentor me in a specific field online. I'm going to give you another great example. This is one of the most obvious examples. Online coaching for fitness, for exercises, for nutrition, right? How many people used to have a personal trainer at the gym that they would meet in person? How many people would be personal trainers, thinking that, oh, well, my expertise only works offline because I have to look at the person doing the exercises, I have to be there in person. And then throughout the quarantine, many people just literally out of desperation, out of having to improvise, they started moving away from getting that service offline, from meeting their trainer offline, to getting to know that the same trainer or a different trainer online, because they were stuck at home in quarantine and they said, I still have my fitness goals, I still want to get fit, So, but I can't go to the gym, it's closed, so let me get an online coach. So public perception has become more and more aware and more accepting of, being mentored online, being taught online, getting services online, but especially throughout the quarantine, this effect has been amplified. And this is not just things that I'm just making up. These are not just things that I'm like putting together to fit my narrative or anything. We can literally see that in the numbers of some of our clients that we've been working together. They've actually increased a boost in sales, a boost in views when they had small niche brands throughout the quarantine, because very logically speaking, more people have been using the internet. And here's the thing, it's not going to go back after that. It's not like people are going to be like, oh great, now I will go back to offline, to meeting my personal trainer offline. It's not going to happen, because people have understood now the convenience of online. They're like, wait a minute, I don't have to drive to the gym. I don't have to go through traffic for an hour or 30 minutes to meet my coach. I can literally do this online, have them on my phone, right? I myself have most of the mentors that I've been working with over the last decade. I meet them literally online. Here and there, I meet them in person when we happen to be in the same city. Some of my mentors I've never even met in person. I'm doing all of it online. I'm being coached in team building. I'm being coached in marketing, business strategy, spirituality, nutrition, exercises, mobility, and these are all people that I'm working with online. They're traveling the world, I'm traveling the world, and I'm literally just in contact with them over WhatsApp, over Zoom, over Skype, over video, whatever, right? Video calls. Anything, any text-based or message-based app I'm using to literally just get their expertise on the go wherever I am, and it's much more convenient, right? So you kind of now understand the background in terms of market, you understand the background in terms of public perception of that online coaching, so you now see on a logical level that now is the best way, now is the best time to get started with your own online coaching, online service providing business. And on a side note, talking about these apps, if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, you're missing out, because Instagram is one of, obviously next to YouTube, one of the apps that I'm putting the most effort in. I'm replying to all the DMs, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on the DMs. I post on the stories literally every day. I'm posting value nuggets on business, on mindset, on, growth mindset, on being free, and I'm also doing Q&As on there. I'm doing live streams multiple times a week. I highly recommend you checking out my Instagram profile. It's also very inspiring. And also check out our other profile. This is our Freedom Business Mentoring profile. Here's where we kind of let you peek under the hood of that machine of what it means if you're being coached for creating your own freedom business. So we're showing some of our most inspiring client testimonials on there. We're obviously also replying on the DMs there. We're dropping value nuggets on more of the structural side of business. So we're going to show both Instagram accounts here. Go check them out. I highly recommend you that. And that brings me to the last point, which is your mindset up here. And when I think back at my very first business, so the very first business that I've built that brought me my first million, that brought me my first multiple 7 figures a year, was also an online coaching business in the realm of dating advice and relationship advice. And here's a couple things that I had going on in my brain as I got started with that. Number one, I didn't feel like I was good enough. There was so many experts out there that had decades of experience, yet I felt like I'm just this guy. I was in the beginning of my 20s. Can I even trump the people that are dominating in that niche right now? The answer was no. I couldn't. But here's the beautiful thing about that. I didn't have to, right? So when you're thinking about like, am I even good enough already to get started with my own business? There's so many other people out there that are better than me. Yeah, there are. There always will be. But listen, you don't need to be the best in that. You don't need to be the second best. You don't need to be the 10th best. You can be the 200th best in the world. You're still gonna be pretty good. Most importantly, you're still gonna be better than the average person. Okay? I didn't have a certificate. I didn't go to university for dating advice, if that even exists. I didn't have a certificate or a degree in psychology either. I literally just have my own personal experience. And I was starting to help my friends, my colleagues, gave them a couple of tips, and then slowly but steadily I said, hey, let me do this. Let me start getting paid for that, right? And I'm not saying if you know nothing and if you have no experience, you should become an online coach. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you probably will never feel good enough to do so. So the best thing to do is get started and hone your craft with real clients as you're getting better. Hell, if you even say like, I'm not even sure if I can charge XYZ amount of money, charge half of it. Charge nothing. Do it for free in the beginning, but get your foot in the door, start gathering real life experience, put yourself a little bit in the spotlight to say, now I'm working with real clients, whether they're for free or for half the present quota price, doesn't even matter. You're putting yourself on the spot a little bit and say, hey, I'm working with real clients. I have to hone my craft. I have to hone my skills, right? And as you're doing that, you can already start to get paid. You can already get better. You're in the process, instead of the other person that just paralyzes themselves saying, I'm not good enough and therefore I shall never start. Because that's not how I felt either. I didn't feel good enough, but I started coaching and I got better with it. I got better with every single client. Hell, and then later on when I transitioned into business consulting, I also wasn't sure. I had the same doubts. I literally talked to my mentors. They said, hey, you should start teaching more business. More and more people asking you about business. Why not actually doing it? And I also thought I wasn't good enough. I literally had made several seven figures a year for a couple of years from my very first business, and I still didn't feel good enough. So it kind of gets to show you, like, you'll never feel good enough. You always have self-doubts. I even think that's healthy, right? The other thing is that now is not a good time, right? Whether there is a pandemic or whether you're still going to school on the side or you have your job or it's summer and you want to go on vacation and your children are not out of the house yet. There's always going to be situations that make you feel like it's not the perfect time. And guess what? Really picture it. What does a perfect time look like? You wake up one day and you have nothing on your calendar for the next 3 years. The birds are chirping outside, the sun rays are tickling your nose, and you're like, today is the perfect day to get started. And you read a newspaper article like, scientists prove that today is the best day to get started with your own online business, the New York Times. It's never going to happen. The best time to get started is always now, because things are never going to be perfect. They will never, ever be perfect. The ride is always going to be bumpy. And let me tell you, the ride is going to be bumpy in the beginning before you make your first 10,000 a month. The ride is going to be bumpy when you're making multiple seven figures already. The ride is always bumpy. That's what it means. That's what it means to be an entrepreneur. But if you have the right people around you, if you have the right ecosystem around you, people that support you, ideally those are mentors who have had all the problems that you are experiencing right now. The bumpy ride is a bumpy ride. Actually, earlier we did a very bumpy ride. That was fun. It's a fun ride if you can let loose and say, I'm in for the ride. I got the person who's steering the wheel for me or is helping me to steer that wheel. I can trust that person. Then that bumpy ride isn't something scary anymore. It becomes something fun. It becomes something enjoyable. And that is what we see with our clients. We're specifically focused, at least right now, on beginners, okay? We're seeking to get our beginner clients to make their first $10,000 or 10,000 euros a month, because that's like the beginning baseline. And from there we scale them to 25K, 50K, 100K until they say, you know, no more, I'm happy with the size of business that I have. Usually people are happy around the $25,000, $35,000 a month break line where they say, okay, this is good for me, right? I personally say keep scaling ad infinitum as much as you possibly can, but that's just my mindset. So I hope you understand now that the market is ready for you to get in there, right? If you want to dominate the market, you can do that. But even if you don't, even if you're the 1,000th best, good for you. It's ready. Now is a good time. Understand that people are now opening up to the idea. More and more people want to be coached online, get services online. That the public perception is there, and most importantly, understand that the times are never going to be perfect. Even if you don't feel good enough, get your foot in the door, work on it as you're getting paid, as you're already working with real clients. That's exactly how I've done it. It's exactly how I built my first business, and that's exactly the structure that we're getting our beginner clients through. Do not worry. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but it can be a lot of fun, and it can be very, very fulfilling if you know how to get that steering wheel through that bumpy ride, ideally with a mentor, ideally with someone who has done it before, all right? So when you say you're ready to get started, without having to commit to anything, you can book a free consulting call either with me directly or with an expert from our team. There's a link down in the description below. You click on that and you book a free consulting call. Calls entirely for free, like I said. There's no hidden international costs whatsoever. And on that call, we'll be talking to you directly on the phone. This is not a website where you have to read or anything. You're literally talking to a real person. We'll look at your situation, we'll look at your skills, and we can tell you the exact steps that you can take in order to get started with your own freedom business as an online coach or as an online service provider. Like I said, the way this works is you click that link down in the description. Description brings you to a page. You can read a little bit more through that. There's some more information on there. And at the bottom of the page, you find an application. Takes you 2 minutes to fill it out. You fill it out and then you can book the exact date and time where you want us to call you. So let's say you already have a skill and you want to learn how to monetize that. that call is for you. Let's say you just like the idea of being free, but you have no clue how to get started. You feel lost, you're confused, you don't know what it is that you could potentially be offering people. That call is for you as well, because we can analyze your strengths, we know the market, we know what model could fit well for you, and we can help you get started nonetheless. Many of our clients had no idea what it is they could be offering. Then we analyzed their strengths, we told them what is a good fit, and now they're already making money, right? It works. It's a wonderful opportunity. And imagine, I mean, literally, when was that? When we talked to Ari 2 days ago. It was yesterday, I think. Yeah. And he had literally started 3 months ago, 12 weeks ago. And he now has cracked his first $12,500 month. Right? So you can kind of like see, like, imagine you had started 3 months ago. I'm not saying this is expected. I'm not saying everyone is going to get that. But just as an example, this client started 3 months ago and he just cracked his first $12,500 in 1 month, which is way more than he had made before. He had actually been laid off due to the pandemic, and now he's living the life on his own terms. He has a safer income because it's in his control. He cannot get fired because it's literally, he's the boss of it, so he cannot fire himself, right? So just to kind of put things into perspective, if you had started already, right? The best time to get started is always in the past. Second best time is to get started now. So when you say you're ready to get started, without any big commitment, book that free consulting call with us now. I'd be very excited to be talking to you. Thank you very much for watching, for listening, for being here with me. Let's talk soon, and GG.
Hello everyone, FBM. Hello coaches and other members. Of my first close that I made for 1,000 euros. Whole sum paid up front, and yeah, I want to thank all the coaches, especially Max, for creating this amazing program, and for giving us daily value, tons of value, and yeah, basically changing our lives.